I did not ever know that I was going to join the military. I had the idea actually my freshman year of high school, because that's when 9/11 hit. And I knew I wanted to do something. I wasn't quite sure what that meant. So no, in high school I was pretty much a regular kid. I was in band and I was an athlete, and that was my life. The first half of the year, football season, band, played clarinet, and then going towards the second half of the year, I did swimming and track. I didn't grow up in the most best circumstances. My family, we didn't have a lot of money, and I was thinking, man, I'm graduating from high school, I'm turning 18, I know I'm gonna go to college. I wanted to go to college, and here I was working my job that I'd had since I was 16 years old, as a cashier at a grocery store, and a recruiter comes in, and he just looks at me and he says, have you ever thought about joining the military? And I said, I don't know. Kind of thought about it, but I want to go to school. And he said, well, you can do both. And he was a Army National Guard recruiter. And so he sold me. He said, you can still enjoy civilian college life, and you can still get the best of both worlds by, joining the Guard and, going into the military that way. It really drew me in because being from the Galveston County area, we're hit regularly with hurricanes and, natural disasters. And so when he told me that, I would be able to go to school and you still give back to my own community by serving in the Guard and having that military aspect, getting the best of both worlds, I thought that was a win-win. And so, yeah, I joined that summer. In Texas, if you graduate in the top 10% of your class, you're what they call a Texas Scholar. So that's grant money, free money. And so I actually didn't even use it till probably my sophomore or junior year of college. When I originally went to my undergrad, I was an athlete, so I was running track. But there was a lot of commitment. It's not easy being a student athlete. And so then I decided to join a sorority, and after I joined the sorority and it took up so much of my time, I let go of track, and then I focused more on my schooling. And the Guard paid for that. I was still going on training, so I was still drilling and training 2 weeks out of the summer during that time, but it wasn't until my senior year that my unit readiness NCO called me to say, hey, we're called up for deployment, and just wanted to let you know you were on the list. I was a 27 Delta, that's legal, paralegal specialist. In preparing for your deployment, which you really don't know how to prepare other than your training missions, you're wondering dang, how's it going to be? And so those who have been previously deployed say, put a blow dryer up to your face and, turn the oven on. And that's what Iraq feels like. And so we used to laugh oh, okay, that is how Iraq feels. It's just hot. There's certain things that you forget, and then when you come back home, you're like, oh man, green grass, color. Because as soon as you step into the Middle East, all you see is beige, tan, earth tone colors, and not green grass. When I returned, I didn't go, I took leave, and then after that, I was pulled to go assist another unit for what we were doing. It was another training facility in Washington. And I didn't know what I was going to do because I had been deployed right after graduating from college. And so I originally actually tried to go on another deployment. So I started getting picked up for more temporary orders at Ellington or in Austin. And then eventually I ended up going back to school. And I was contracted as a medical case manager. And what we did was basically we did the paperwork for service members that were medically non-deployable. So now I have eyes on what happens or what could happen during and after a deployment, because I'm seeing paperwork for service members that, have ailments, whether it's back problems, knee problems, what have you, that has been built up, maybe not specifically from that deployment or from previous deployments as well. And then I'm also seeing paperwork for PTSD and things like that. And I'm not really quite understanding the mental health side of it. And then I go to a drill weekend. I want to say this is maybe be around late 2011 or early 2012. Late 2011. And it's a drill weekend, and I'm hearing people talk about, did you hear such and such company had, this happened, that happened? They're suicides. So service members that I deployed with maybe not have been in the same exact areas because we were spread all over southern Iraq. But people from my brigade were dying by their own hands. And I didn't understand that. And at this point in my life, I'm also having my own personal issues that I hadn't quite addressed yet. I was living with my then fiance, now husband, who repeatedly would say, you jump in your sleep, you're jumping in your sleep. And every now and then he would make a comment about, I think you drink too much, which for me, a bottle of wine for dinner was reasonable to me. And I didn't take him serious at first. I felt like he was oversensitive about the drinking because his grandmother had passed cirrhosis of the liver, so it was a very sensitive topic for him. Now I know that I was self-medicating. At that point, this was just a natural thing for me. I didn't see it as an issue. And I wouldn't say that I wasn't having nightmares. I didn't really put those things together. Yes, I could still hear the alarms in my head whenever we were being mortared or whenever there was an incoming headed our way. You hear that over and over in your head, but you don't really put it together. You're thinking this is a natural thing. This is what happens. You were in a war zone. You were around not the nicest people, and you're going to think about it every now and then. And then you go to a drill weekend and you hear about service members that have completed suicide, and you're like, what? Like, what is that about? I changed my focus in graduate school from minority studies to mental health of sociology. And I started educating myself, and all of my projects were geared towards mental health and veterans. And I started studying it and realized that PTSD and depression and suicide is a thing, and it's affecting a community that is so close to me. Not knowing at the time that I was suffering from both PTSD and depression. I found myself getting angry more often with people that were close to me. I didn't want to hear about my younger siblings getting mad because they wanted a new pair of shoes when I had just left a country where there was children without shoes. It made me grow up in a sense of being more thankful for the things that I have, and that is something that I'm grateful for. Definitely mental health is everything to me because it's so compartmentalized. It's not always a thing that people want to talk about their feelings or even admit that they have something going on. And for someone who has been that person, who literally the only reason I even sought counseling was because my husband now, at the time he was my fiance, said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. And if you don't talk to somebody, there's not going to be a wedding. I don't know how else to help you but to tell you need to talk to someone. And so it was then through, therapy that I had realized I had a lot going on. And it wasn't all necessarily military related. It was life related. It was childhood. It was from there to at that time, it was all of these things that built up. And that's why it's so important to me to have these conversations and to serve in a capacity that promotes mental health, because you have people from different backgrounds from all over the world that have joined the military for many different reasons. Well, a lot of people call us heroes, and that's great. Thank you for thinking of me so highly to call me a hero. Some of us merely join the military out of survival because we need that outlet. And you never know someone's background, what brought them there. So it's so important that we take care of our full being. So Given Hour is a national nonprofit, And essentially, we provide free mental health care services to military families. So it's not just for the veteran, it's also for the spouse and the children, all involved in the immediate care of that veteran. Essentially, our volunteer base are licensed clinicians. So they're counselors, they're social workers, psychiatrists, psychologists, all fields related to mental health and counseling. But what's so cool about it is, one, it's absolutely 100% free, and two, insurance is never collected because it's free, and it's very self-serve, and it's so as easy as selecting what type of help you're looking for and your zip. And once you put that in there, a list of providers in your area, given the criteria that you've input, will come up. Given Hour also provides telecounseling. So if you can't come in person or you don't want to come in person, they can also do counseling over the phone. New veterans, listen to your family, because these are the people that knew you before you're a veteran, knew you during your service, knew you afterwards. These are the people that are going to recognize everything that is good, bad, or that has changed within you. Listen to them. Don't ignore them, because they're not saying things to harm you. They're saying things to help you because they want that person that they knew their entire lives. Family plays such a prominent role in a veteran's life, and when you're going through all these things, you don't see it. And so someone who has been there, and for other veterans that can definitely attest, that are going through treatment or that have been there as well, listen to your family, listen to your husband, listen to your spouse, listen to your children. They're not nagging you. They're not saying things to harm you or hurt you. They're saying things because they love you and they want you back. If you don't know how to help your service member, again, Houston has the second largest population of veterans in the nation, which means we also have a plethora of resources here in the area. So I would say reach out to one of your local resources, whether it's your veteran service officer or whether it's an organization at Combined Arms. Reach out to resources and we can definitely get you linked in. A barrier that we have is getting that information out to incoming veterans. It's you don't have to get deployed to be a veteran. You don't have to serve in a certain war era to consider yourself a veteran. So it's about breaking all these dynamics and getting that information out there to people.